If you wanted to buy Bitcoin futures, how should you do it? Our resident crypto expert, BK, is at the Plasma breaking down a simple strategy with the more you know.
The more you know, absolutely. So futures actually are fairly simple instruments. I actually find them a little simpler than options action. I'm not as smart as those guys at 5:30 on Friday. So let's talk about what you do with Bitcoin futures or how to trade futures in general. First of all, like any other trade, you want to identify your key levels. Number two, the thing with futures is you're going to have high risk, high return. High risk, high reward. You're going to have leverage in this particular case. In futures, it's about 44% on the CBOE, so you have to put up roughly half of what you're doing. And then you always want to use a stop and have a stop out level. Because futures can move so fast, because you're leveled, you want to make sure you protect yourself. So let's go to the next one here. Let's take a look at this trade. This is a trade I put together today, okay, looking at the Bitcoin futures, up about 20% overnight. I know some people thought Bitcoin was going to get annihilated. Apparently, they meant annihilated up because it went up 20%. Here's what it looks like. You have this nice range right here, so we want to use that as our protective stop area. So if I look at futures here, okay, my stop is at 1730. That's just below this range here. I'm going to buy the futures at 1790. My target is 2180. And you might say, BK, you're crazy. That's okay, because 2800 is 3,800 points, which is exactly the measured move that we had overnight. So we put up about $5,000, actually about $8,000 or $9,000. Okay, we have a risk of $500. If we drop down to 1730, we're going to lose $500. But if we go up to 2180, then we're going to make 3,800. So that risk reward is much greater than 3-to-1, which I always look for. And the one thing I'd say about these particular contracts, it's 1-for-1. So if you buy one contract, it's the same thing as buying, or just like buying one Bitcoin. And that's how you trade futures.
That was sharp, BK. Let me ask you a quick question for one of those OA guys you were just dissing earlier. Here's the thing with futures, you know, equity investors oftentimes after hours will trade futures against stock holdings. For instance, let's say you're long a basket of stocks and there's some news out, and then you may short some futures to kind of lower your delta exposure. Do you expect these futures to be used that way, or is it because cryptocurrencies trade 24/7 that it'll be less of an impact because these markets are all trading?
No, I think as the market matures, you will see some more of those more sophisticated strategies. So one thing you can do is if you're long Bitcoin and you have it in a cold storage device, you can sell futures against this and you can pick up a little bit of yield. So you almost make Bitcoin a yielding instrument. Today, first day, a lot of players weren't up and running. A lot of brokers weren't offering this product. So it's going to take a little time to get that liquidity out there. But I do think people will use these for much more sophisticated strategies.
And one more quick question, BK. A lot of institutions, because of their mandates, aren't allowed to own the cryptocurrencies themselves. Are they allowed to trade futures?
Yes, they are. And that's why I think this is the first step towards a whole bunch of institutional money coming in. If you're already trading currency futures or oil futures or copper futures, you can trade Bitcoin futures the same way.